All right, guys, welcome back to another interview on Unhinged. I am joined by Tony Dodds. How's it going?
Hello, Lenny March. Yeah, everything's going perfect. Yeah,
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Thank you for obviously taking the time out of your day. I know it's busy. I know it's fight week. I know you're probably cutting weight a little bit and probably a little
yeah,
bit, aggy, should we say?
yeah, a little bit. But like we were talking about earlier, I've had my cappuccino from Coffee 57, so it's everything's good.
Yeah, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. A
Yeah,
fantastic fight to talk about on Machine MMA this weekend. But first and foremost, obviously, I want to talk about. I was looking at your record, when researching. Being out of the cage for 10 months.
right.
Well, in MMA anyway. What you've been getting up to? I just want to know. I want to delve more into you, learn more about you. So, what you've been getting up to in them 10 months?
Well, since my last fight, I've just because I had a bad year last year. I'm coming up with 2 losses. Um, like my opponents have been very good, and just to simply put things, I got my ass kicked last year. wasn't a good experience, and I've changed things up quite a bit because I'm 38-year-old now, and things are getting tough. But I'm still not ready to give up competing.
Yeah, if you
So,
don't mind me asking, I would love to know what you've kind of changed. You said you changed a lot, but what is that exactly you changed? It maybe is it strength and
um,
conditioning? Because I've recently seen on your Facebook you're looking in some shape for a 38-year-old. I'll tell you that
yeah,
for now.
yeah. Oh well, I appreciate that, Lenny. You're one of my good friends for giving me that compliment. um, yeah, I've concentrated more on getting more stronger. I used to fight at 66 kilo at featherweight,
Oh,
and
70,
that
yeah.
was so much because obviously I work full time as well, and just being hungry all the time, and hungry, exhausted, it makes training miserable. And to be honest, it stopped me enjoying it as much. So I've concentrated on getting more stronger, putting a little bit size on, and now I'll be fighting at lightweight at 70 kilo, and I feel so much better for it. And that's the biggest change I've had. And obviously, now I'm concentrating more on MMA rather than going into these fights. Specifically, just as a kickboxer, I've been working so much on my wrestling and my ground game. So just to make me more of an all-round fighter, an all-round martial artist, rather than just going into these fights as a kickboxer, and that's made
Yeah,
me so much more confident.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I talked about your shape, I think anyone would say that you're looking for fantastic for a 38-year-old. It's incredible.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I feel like moving up to 70 kg, as you talked about your last few fights, moving up to 70 kg is a fantastic move. I do believe that because obviously, yeah, again, you talked about you feel better, you feel more comfortable, and obviously in a fight week, you don't have to cut much as weight, so it's a
No,
win-win.
no, definitely not. Feel so much better for it, and I think that is going to make the biggest difference. And
And
because
obviously, yeah, carry on.
usually
Sorry.
nerves are kicking in so much, it does get quite overwhelming. And obviously now I'll always be nervous. Like if people who say they don't get nervous fighting in a big cage in front of hundreds of people, they're either talking shit or they just don't care about winning. And like I say, I'm still nervous, but nowhere near as bad as I was feeling last year. So
Yeah,
that's helped loads more because now I feel I've got loads more energy, and it's just made me feel like a better fighter.
I absolutely agree. Everyone gets nervous, whether it's for a job interview, whether it's for a fight. It happens. It's natural. So I absolutely
Yeah.
agree on that one. But do you feel like, as we talked about this 10 months away, you talked about it was great for you to get away. I feel like it's a reevaluate. You can just go back, reevaluate what's happened in them last two fights. Is that the way you've looked at it? That you just sat back a little bit, looked at them last two fights, and feel like what I've got to work on. And now you talked about it. Now you're coming into this fight. Do you feel like you fixed them holes?
Yeah, million percent. Yeah, obviously spoke to my coaches about it because I was actually thinking about like, should I call it a day now? Is it getting too much? But like my whole mentality on life and everything, like giving up is not an option. I'm still feeling fit and strong, so there's no way I want to give up being part of this sport. So we've talked about what we need to work on. That's basically coming into these fights a more all-round martial artist rather than I always just felt comfortable just using my hands and my legs. But now I've worked so much on my wrestling, and now I'll be going into these MMA fights thinking, look, I'm going to actually, I feel so confident taking it to the ground. So
Yeah, absolutely.
going to be the biggest, one of the biggest changes I've made.
And I want to talk. Obviously, let's talk. Move over to you to talk about your next opponent, Lucas Smith. The fight this weekend, obviously, very very close to the fight this weekend. We're on Thursday. We're talking Thursday, and the fight Saturday. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
gives you retrospect of how close it is. So your opponent, 17 years of age, he's very young. I didn't want to say it, but he could be your son.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, obviously, whatever opponent I get offered, if they want to fight me, I'm going to do that. Uh, and to be honest, everyone's going to be younger than me who I fight now. There's not many sort of, unless they're at like the very high level, there's not many fighters about now, sort of my age at this level kind of thing. So the majority of people are going to be younger. But if he thinks he's ready to sort of fight me, and then that's totally fine.
Yeah, my original question was going to be obviously the age, and it's a big factor. But do you feel like you can use that? Because obviously you got more experience. I know he's had a lot of Muay Thai experience and whatever. But do you feel like you can use your age, use your experience, and obviously make it work in your favor in this fight?
Yes, oh yeah, definitely, because experience is massive in this game. I mean, obviously, compared to me now, everyone's going to be younger. Um, Maybe he's more fitter, maybe more stronger, but I still feel like I'm I'm not sort of the average 38-year-old. I still feel in fantastic shape. My fitness level just seem to continue to grow, and now in these MMA fights, now I feel more an all-rounded fighter that is going to make all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, your opponent Lucas, a long-time striker. He's been, he's striking since a very young age, and he's 17, and he's still coming into this game very young. I know he's a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. But this is a fantastic fight. It's going to be entertaining fight for the fans, but ultimately a fantastic test for Lucas. I know, as we've talked about, your age, you have that experience, and it's going to be a fantastic test, and it's going to push him. It's going to push yourself because
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
feel like at the end of the day, you don't want a young man beating you.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is it?
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Now these young lads, they're in the gym like from a very young age, and they are growing up to be absolute killers. Obviously, from my experience, from my gym, seeing the lads and lasses train, seeing the fighters what them become as well. Obviously, it's just a whole different generation of martial artists.
yeah, absolutely. I think you've got some fantastic fighters at your gym, and most notably, when I went to the last Machine MMA show, I thought Joe Pryor. He looked fantastic. I know it didn't go his weight last weekend, but
Yeah,
he's very young and it'll come back. He's just got obviously these lessons in MMA.
they've
So shout out to Joe Pryor.
got.
And he's gonna look good in the future.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was Joe Pryor and Lenny March. They were fighting last week actually
Yeah.
on your championship, and the both were fantastic. Joe unfortunately didn't get his hand raised, but he fought through it, and he just to remind people, he fought with a broken toe.
I know. I know.
His toe was broke, and he still done that. And Lenny March, he's a one to watch at the minute.
Yeah.
He's fantastic right now.
Yeah, shout out to Liam Hardy and Joe Pryor, and obviously
Yeah,
they're going to be looking good in the future. So we're going to circle back to the fight that we were talking about, you versus Lucas. Well, obviously, what are you gonna do? Oh, 2 secs. What are you going to bring on fight day to ensure that you do get that victory? And obviously, I know 2 back-to-back losses. I know you're going to come more hungry than ever. I feel like them 2 back-to-back losses are going to make you drive, make you more motivated. But what are you going to ensure on fight day to make sure that you do get your hand raised?
oh yes, everything's different. Like my takedown game has completely changed now. Me taking down my opponent, and obviously my takedown defense. I feel so confident about that, and I think that's going to be the thing what changes everything. I feel so comfortable just using my hands and using my legs, but now I'm comfortable in the grappling department as well. So that's going to be the big game changer.
Yeah, Lucas, as we talked about, very started striking at a young age, Muay Thai. Had a few boxing fights, obviously 2-0
Right,
in MMA.
right.
If you have watched his previous fights, I'd love to know your insight of what you make him as a matchup, and obviously your thoughts of him as a fighter.
Right. Well, I personally haven't seen any of his fights yet. I leave that up there. Lewis Garside, my MMA coach, and Paul Graves, my kickboxing coach. And like I say, I haven't watched any, but to be honest, with even watching his fights is not going to change the way I'm going to fight. I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to say what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in. I'm going to punch him and kick him as hard as I can. And then when I feel that I've got the chance, I'm going to take him to the floor and either submit him or finish him with ground and pound.
That was a fantastic segue. I was going to ask you next. Obviously, in your head, you envision a fight going 50 different ways, and it never goes the way that you envision it. But then I was going to ask you, how do you see the fight playing out in your head? But you kind of just put it down there on the table.
Yeah, it depends how tough he is and how mentally tough he is. See how much of because whoever he's fought in the past, he's never been punched or kicked by me, and we'll see what how he reacts to that. See if that breaks him down, and just to see how much more I've got to give to beat him on the night. And obviously, I never underestimate my opponents. Whatever he flings at me, I'm sure I will be able to deal with it.
And then we're going to move on from the fight talk. I know fighters don't really like to talk about fight talk much because especially in fight week, because it's getting so close, they just want to get in there and get ready. So we'll move on. I want to talk about Spartans and maybe briefly touch up about it, but obviously Joe and obviously Liam. What is it like training down there? How hard do they push you? And obviously, how good is the gym?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. Like I said before, we've got Lewis Garside as our MMA coach and Paul Graves as our kickboxing coach. And I absolutely love it. Personally, it's completely changed my life getting involved in that gym, being around them kind of people. They're more than a fight team now. We've become like a little family, and it's never ever ever a chore going training because we're always helping each other, and everybody who's there at every class, every session, we all get something out of it, and that obviously improves me as a martial artist, and the fact that I'm helping the young up and coming fighters as well. That is so rewarding personally for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, you can use that knowledge, that experience that you've had in your career so far. I know you've had a lot of
Yeah,
kickboxing fights as well. So,
yeah,
yeah, obviously you can try. You can put your knowledge down and put it down to Joe, Liam, or whoever's in the gym. So fantastic. Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, you've held a belt inside Machine MMA,
yeah.
the Brawlers British MMA title, and I just wanted to think. Obviously, in your head, do you want to go back in there in the future, maybe fight for another belt, and hopefully on the obviously Machine MMA Battle the Belts, because obviously they had a show last year Battle the Belts, so hopefully they have one this year. Would you like to kind of make it, be like a double champ, maybe get the belt back?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would love that if that opportunity does arise. I would definitely take it. And obviously getting one of them belts from Machine MMA, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty good.
Obviously it's always nice to fight for a belt instead of just a medal. That's it's always nice to do that, and obviously the title itself, it makes things a lot more exciting. So yeah, I would definitely be up for that again. But
And then
now at the minute, it's just on that's one of the things in the past I always focused on. Even when I was matched up for a fight, I would be focusing on the next one as well. But now that's one of the things I've learned. Just concentrate on the fight in hand, get that over and done with, do that, and then we'll go to the next one.
And that was pretty much my last question, actually. I know you've had 10 months away from the sport, but my last question, obviously, 2022 didn't go your way, but 2023, I presume you want to stay active. And I just want to talk about how active do you want to be in 2023, if possible?
Oh yeah, definitely. Try to get a few more fights in this year, but what I've learned from the past, I always rush into fights. Whether it's a K1 fight coming up, an MMA fight coming up, I just rush into it because I've always said since I started, if I get the opportunity to fight, I'm going to do it. But now it's not that easy. It's not that easy to be able to just take fights willy nilly on a few weeks' notice. Um, I always like to think I keep in very good condition, but now it seems like the level of my opponents, they're getting good, and I can't just think, oh, I've trained for a couple of weeks, I've got a chance of beating these. So and now I want to make sure I'm prepared for every fight. I get into this year.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Tony. It's been an absolute pleasure to be joined by you. Obviously, I wish you the best of luck on fight day on the Saturday. I will be there in attendance, so hopefully I can catch you before, after. I wish you the best of luck. Obviously, it's going to be a fantastic show. Make sure you catch it, Machine MMA 32 at the Fed in Gateshead. So it's going to be a fantastic show, Tony.
Awesome.
Wish you best of luck. Thank you so much for joining me.
Right, that was great, Lenny. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.